Hey, welcome back to another edition of Avidgolfer Magazine's Drive Time feature. You can find this on our Avidgolfer page on YouTube and also myavidgolfer.com if you want to check out the written part of this as well. This month, we check out the Cadillac CT5-V. What does that mean? Well, all the major brands, let's go. This is trying to compete against the German imports. All the major German imports have a kind of a racing division, whether it's an RS, whether it's an AMG, whether it's an M. Cadillac has a V division. They also have kind of a performance light version. All three of those manufacturers do. So does Cadillac. This is the CT5-V, used to be called a Sport. Now it's called a V. There's supposed to be a black wing, fully adorned V version that's going to probably have 1,000 horsepower or whatever, maybe in the springtime. But until that comes out, let's take a long, hard look at the CT5-V, courtesy of Crest Cars, Crest.com in Frisco. Let's look at the exterior of the CT5-V. Cadillac has made some nice appointments on this. They have a black mesh grille, gives it a little more of a sportier look, a little more menacing look. You have your kind of a splitter down here in gloss black. You have more mesh down here. The holes here, only right here do they have openings. The rest is all kind of covered. So it's kind of like a faux vent, I guess, a little bit. One of the greatest features I like about the new Cadillac line, kind of like these, it looks like a hockey stick blade, headlight running light. Have the high intensity lights right here. Man, they brighten up everything. But I think this is a really cool look. It looks like it goes inside the exterior. It actually cuts off right here, but again, perception is reality. And when you look at the top here, it has a little bit of design feature right here, just maybe a little bit sportier. Again, I like the overall look of it from the front, because if you see this in your rearview mirror, looks like it's got something. Looks a little menacing, right? So that's what you want, especially if you're not going to put a fire-breathing V8 in this thing. It's a twin-turbo V6, 360 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. That's pretty good. And we'll drive it around a little, let's get the impressions of that. But there's your front end. I'm a big exterior guy. When I leave a car, it's in the parking lot, if I take a couple steps and look back, then I know I got a nice ride. If I just keep on going, But this one makes me look back a little bit, because I like the upgraded wheels. The paint, I think, is gorgeous. You have a V badge right here. You'll have this in multiple places in the car, designating that it's not a normal CT5. It's got a little oomph to it. When you look down here, you have this kind of like a side rails. That's gloss black. I think that sets it off just enough. It's very simple. And a sloping roof line. I'll get into this in just a little bit. Well, I think it's a little bit curious, but when you look away from it a little bit, I think it's a nice silhouette. It looks streamlined. It looks like it's cheating some wind, and it looks like it's got a little sport to it. I'm enjoying that. Here's where it gets a little funny. So with that sloping roof line, which looks awesome, it looks great. But what happened was they had to elongate this backside. So when they did that, they had to insert this. It's nothing. It's just a black insert. I think if they would have maybe squared it off a little bit more, you wouldn't have needed that. But it's not very obtrusive. I mean, it's black. It kind of fits all the other trim. So not a big worry. I just thought it was kind of an interesting design. All right, since this is a sport model, they've made some nice upgrades to, again, it's all appearance. You'll hear the engine note too. These are upgraded 20-inch blackened rims. I like it. I'm not a big black rim guy, but I like this. I think it matches the car very well. And you also have the painted brake calipers. That's a really common accessory these days. I think it's just enough touch to set it off. It's like women tell me it's like having a nice pair of earrings. Not too much, just enough to set it off. And these are painted red. These are the Brembos, so they stop in very short fashion. And you'll see there's a a vent right here that helps kind of cool off the brakes as well. All right, let's take a look at the rear end. Nice and tidy. You have the Cadillac emblem. You have another V badge on here, designated what it is. More black trim. I like that. I like it here. And then you have a spoiler. Not bad. You know, it's blended in with the car because it's the same paint color. But I think it's just enough of a design note, and it sets it apart just a little bit. Quad exhaust. And we'll turn that on a little bit and let you know what that sounds like. And a diffuser down here. I like this look. So here's your rear end, and then we open up the trunk. We'll take a look inside. Okay, let's take a look at the trunk, see how much storage space it has. I have my clubs in here. And so you can see nice cutout so you can fit this sideways with driver and everything. Nice. And if you peek back in here, you can see that there's a 60-40 split rear seats that you can fold down. What's interesting is they have a little bit of blockage on each side, but it's not too much of a detriment. But something to note that the seats will fold down, but you still have kind of a couple barriers on either side. But good amount of trunk space on this. I enjoy it. I always like being able to put clubs in sideways with my big driver, and so that's a positive. Me like it. All right, a lot of cars are adding some extra bonus, kind of redundant, but what the heck. More storage space. You can lift this up and it has some more room down here. This, I believe, is if you need to fill up your gas, maybe with a gas can. Let's see if this works. This is my best guesstimate. One thing I do like about Cadillac is no gas cap. It's like a plunger. I enjoy that. Put that in there, fits right there. Put your nozzle in there, and then you're good to go. Interesting. But I do like that feature on all Cadillacs. Okay, for you folks that like to look under the hood, here we go. This is a twin turbo, 3.0 liter V6, and like everything else these days, takes up almost the whole engine compartment with all the other gadgets and doohickeys and so forth. 360 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. That's pretty good for a V6. Some of the other German imports might go as high as 382 horsepower, but it's in that range. And when we drive it, you'll see how that translates to how fast you can accelerate. 0 to 60 in about 4.6 seconds. Not too shabby. But here's the interior. It's as clean as it'll ever look. All right, let's take a check of the back seat, the room, and how it feels and everything in the CT5-V. First impressions, darn comfortable. I have a lot of knee room here. I'm gonna say 8 inches or so. It's pretty good, and I can still fit my feet underneath, which sometimes is a challenge in other vehicles. Feels good. Headroom's okay. It's gonna be a little bit of compromise, one because of this ultra view panoramic roof. It has to lower the roof line, and also the sloping roof line we were talking about outside when we were showing you the exterior. That compromises this a little bit. So if you're like 6'1", 6'2", might be a little bit of an issue. The only other thing of note, and it's really something that every car has that's a 4-door sedan, drop this down, someplace put your arm, got a couple cup holders. You also have cup holders in the doors right here, so more than enough. And then you also have contrasting stitching. It's very attractive, and I really am a fan of this carbon fiber. It's a neutral color, adds a little sportiness to it, and I'm a big fan. So kudos to Cadillac for putting in some nice appointments in the interior. All right, let's step inside on the front seat, because this is where really all the action is in the CT5-V. First impressions, you step in, it's really nice leather. This is the upgraded leather package. Again, contrasting stitching, which kind of mirrors the carbon fiber. There's a little bit of red in there, so it's a nice design note. I like that. Steering wheel feels very sporty, nice tactile feel of all your buttons here. I'm going to get into some redundancy here in a second. One thing I noticed that's interesting, and as everybody's moving ahead in the tech age. Interesting, they still have analog instrumentation up here for your speedometer and your tachometer. This is all digital, and here, this is still analog. Now, some people still like the old school look. You take your pick. Some people will like it. Some people will think, God, I wish it was a little more modern. But that said, it has an excellent head-up display. It's nice. Tells you the speed limit. Tells you what speed you're going digitally. Also has a nice tachometer on there, so you don't have to look down all the time when you're paddle shifting, when you're changing gears. Okay, so you have your volume control here. These are some interesting redundancy. Volume control here. Volume control here. Volume control here. Why you need 3? I don't know. But you can't complain about not having enough. Like you can't figure out how to turn up or down the radio or whatever. You got 3 different options there. That's an interesting form of redundancy. But works for me. You can change some of the stuff in here. You can put whatever radio station you're on and all that. It's okay, but this is kind of what everybody else has. Heated steering wheel. Over here, you got your paddle shifters, which are actually, they're good. They're metal, they feel good, and it's about what you want. Start engine is over here, and then you have your Q system, which actually, no, used to be called a Q system for your infotainment. This is upgraded, not as many buttons, not as busy. It's easy to get through. If I hit the home screen, I can kind of scroll this way, and if I go to audio, I can change different formats, change the sound. If I want to go to settings, I can go to vehicle. I can check out all the different accoutrements that I want in this. Now, let's talk about, rear seat reminder is great. I use a 4-door car as the back seat, essentially my ease accessibility for stuff. So I put stuff in the back seat, even on the floorboard. If I get out of the car, it will tell me there's still something in the rear seat. Kind of like that. Whatever it is back there, your dog, whatever, it'll tell you. V mode is one of the more interesting parts of this car. V mode is also accessed by this button right here. So as you're driving along, you want a little extra oomph, you want a little extra sound in your exhaust, maybe you want some tighter handlings, tighter steering, tighter suspension, or more comfortable suspension. It's a one-stop shop. And all you have to do is change this. You can go, like if I want engine sound, I can go from stealth, which should be really quiet, you go to tour, and the higher up you go, like if I'm hitting this, you go to track. As you're driving, it should change that up. Same thing with steering, suspension, powertrain, brake response. You can make it as tighter or as invasive as possible if you want something more touring, a little more relaxed. I think that's a pretty cool feature. You can also do climate control here. You can also do it here, right there. You have heated and cooled seats. One of the better things that Cadillac does, the cooled seats actually cool. It's not just blowing air, it's blowing cool air. And you can do that on remote start too. You can actually configure all this so before you even get in the car, your car will be comfortable whether you need it warmer or cooler before you get in. Pretty genius. I kind of like that. So there you go. It has all the other stuff that's connected to it as far as your Apple CarPlay, which is wireless. You have Android Auto, which I believe is wireless. You have a nav, and that will tell you where you're going. You also get that up on your head-up display. Pretty good, and it's very quick. Cadillac has done a nice job. They got hammered for their Q system back in the day, and they listened, which is a good thing when you're talking to consumers and trying to sell them something. You also have a home button right here. Everything you want. Now, it also has, well, this is one of my favorite features. It has wireless charging right there. I like that. Cup holders, you have it here. You can put it down here if you want. The cargo space, not bad. A couple USB ports. You put that in there. If you want to do, if you want to record as you're driving, you're one of those guys that maybe maybe the Big Blue pull you over for some reason and you want to be able to have this on record, there's an SD card slot in the trunk. Put that card in there and you can record stuff as you're driving. Not bad, right? Okay. If you close this up, that's a nice clean look. Kind of wish that was carbon fiber too, but it's not, and it's not a big deal. The window or sunshades, pretty good. You can get an upgraded rear view camera in your rear view mirror. Some people love it. Some people think it's, they don't, it's a weird visual. But what it does do is if you have stuff in the back seat, the cameras are from the rear bumper. So you get a really nice wide aperture of view. It's almost like a lane each way from the one you're driving. I think that's a good feature as well. You have your driving modes. You can have tour, you have sport, you have track, you have snow and ice. You can also get this, you can get this in rear wheel drive or all wheel drive, whichever part of the country you live in, or some people just like all wheel drive for that little bit of safety in case 1 or 2 times a year, let's say in Dallas where the ice, you have an ice storm or a deluge of rain. It's not bad. It's not mixed car, a little bit heavier, but you have power to all 4 wheels. Some people really like that. I like the illumination here from the Ultra View roof. You can close these off. You can close off the shade on both the front and the rear. By and large, there's nothing I don't like. I mean, it's all pretty good. And especially for the category they're going up against, whether it's BMW, Audi, Mercedes, it's pretty heady competition you're going after, and Cadillac is doing a pretty good job. And since it only starts at $47,000, they're undercutting the competition by about $6 grand. It's a good start when you're going up against the other big boys. Let's take this for a little spin. I have it in V mode. Velocity. Again, the CT5-V. This is Cadillac's entry into the, I'm going to call it the performance category light. And all the big manufacturers have them. So it's not quite as robust as a V8. Doesn't cost as much. The gas mileage is a lot better. And what I like about Cadillac is it gives you a bunch of different modes. I can put it in tour, track, sport, ice and snow. I like options. The head-up display is gorgeous. I love it. It tells me my speed limit. Also put nav up there. That also, when you're using the paddle shifters, which I tend to do, it kind of tell me what RPMs I'm hitting. Won't tell you what gear I'm in, which I find interesting. But if you're just going off RPMs, which a lot of sport driving enthusiasts do, this will work out just fine. Interesting about this gear shift down here, you can put it in drive mode, you can put it in manual mode, but you can't shift using the gear shift. You have to do it only by paddle shifters. Not bad. Some of it's artificial. The exhaust note piped in, not too shabby. I like a little bit of exhaust note. Makes me feel like I'm alive. Feels like I'm driving something sporty. And as I said, you can adjust the brakes, the suspension, the engine note, the engine performance, the gearing and everything. It's a 10-speed, which is a lot, and they're kind of a long range in between gear shifts. I mean, by 3rd gear, I'm already breaking the speed limit. So, could have shortened that up just a little bit, but if I put it in manual mode, I can change it whenever I feel like it, locks it in. And it's instantaneous too. I like that. And then if I downshift, sometimes you'll hear a little popping back there. Sometimes not. But again, it's enough feedback there. It feels like you're driving something other than your normal Cadillac, which is library quiet. Like a little bit of oomph when it comes to my exhaust. Very planted. I have this in sport suspension. You can put it in tracking. You'll definitely feel the tightness on that. These are 20-inch rims, which sometimes accentuate if the roads are not so good, like here in Las Colinas, Texas, as I overshoot the light. Nice job. God, that's a really good rear view display on that on the camera. Very good high def. I like it. Everything about this is driver oriented. The screen here, it's got about a 45-degree tilt, and that's done, I think, because when you have this ultra view roof lets in sun, you don't want to have a bunch of glare. So somehow engineers have figured out what the right angle is. Still very reachable here. You still have your gear shift and your selection knob here for infotainment. Again, redundancy like you won't believe. Whether it's got 3 different ways you can turn up or down the volume, whether you can change the displays on here. It's all you want. The climate control, excellent. As I mentioned earlier, you can preset the car to what your seat temperature is, what the cabin temperature is when you're in. See, and I do that again. Every time I do this, I have to use the paddle shifters, have to remind myself. And actually, when you have it in manual mode, it does tell you what the gear shift is. Pardon me. The seats are excellent. I can change the side bolstering. I like things really tight. Feels like I'm really wedged in. And I'm pretty small anyway, as far as I'm only about 165 pounds. If you have a little bit of girth to you, might be a little bit of an issue. But you can also make it really as flat as you want. It has nice thigh supporting you can adjust down here. Good visibility out the windows, even for a kind of a low-slung sports ride. And again, I kind of like that engine note. It's got a little bit of bite to it. Kudos to Cadillac. Again, a little bit artificial, not too shabby. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, 360 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. It's kind of in line, a little bit slower than the Germans. But not so much that you're going, wow, what did I buy this for? No. For the price and everything, so you heard that? You can rev this puppy up. To be in competition with the German imports, Cadillac has done a pretty good job, and they're saving room for their true V division, which would be fire-breathing drag and V8 horsepower, probably have about 600 horsepower. That's supposed to be maybe come out spring 2021. Not sure yet. Let's see what this turning radius is like. Should be pretty decent, even though it's bigger than normal. Okay, I like. And you hear a little backfire. Again, not enough to hopefully wake up the neighbors if you're going down some back roads, but just enough to make you feel like you're driving a sports car. And this is a sporty 4-door sedan. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Anything else of note? No, I think we pretty much covered it all. I love the fact you can make so many adjustments on the settings, whether it's your powertrain, exhaust, acceleration, suspension, as everybody has different desires. I might want my steering really tight. I might want a loud exhaust note. I might want a heap amount of acceleration. But I don't like being jarred around in track mode when it comes to your suspension. You can make that in touring. So you're kind of getting the best of all worlds. What's wrong with that? This one's appointed, it's optioned up to about 60 grand. Again, in line to the German imports. Might be even a little bit cheaper. So there you go. The driving dynamics in this are pretty good for your average driver who wants a little bit something different. Boy, those brakes are good. They stop very quickly. Ah, I love that. Put a smile on my face. A little giddy up in my step. Not too bad at all. I think you should test drive this. If you're looking at those imports, make sure you check this out too, because it'll give you a nice array of what's out there, price range wise. Maybe you're just a domestic driver. You just like to buy good old American. This would be a fit to click. GM has done a nice job on this. I can't wait to see what the black wing, the true V, is going to be like. But this used to be the V Sport, so they've gotten rid of the Sport designation. Just make it like a CT5, CT4. There'll be a CT6 V, and then you'll just have a plain old V, which will probably be thunderous and It'll be all you want in a performance vehicle, and it's probably something you definitely want to track. It's good stuff. Bravo, Cadillac. Bravo. And there you go, folks. Interior, exterior, driving ability, creature comforts, all there for the 2020 CT5-V, all courtesy of Cadillac, and Crest Cars, crest.com in Frisco for the use of this vehicle. If you're looking for a sporty ride, 4 doors, good room on the inside, and some nice little punch, check out the CT5-V next time you get up to Frisco and crestcars.com.